So first of all, tell us about how long you've been in the ministry, and tell us about Adult and Teen Challenge, what it's all about.
Okay, well, the program itself started in 1958. So we're in our 66 year when David Wilkerson started this on the streets of New York City, and then it spread across the country. And for a number of years, the proliferation of facilities across the United States kind of left a dark spot in South Carolina where there was not any Teen Challenge facilities at that time. So I was hired in 1990 to open a crisis center on Ocean Boulevard. We got a little building on top of a beachwear store. That eventually that beachwear store turned into the Freaky Tiki nightclub. So for about 13 years, we were on the boulevard, and then the Lord provided us a way to be able to purchase 45 acres here in the country, here in Johanna. So my stay with the Adult and Teen Challenge program is now 34 years. To question or address the issue of the name Adult and Teen, what originally was incorporated as Teen Challenge, we were taking in adults, and the adults loved the part about being referred to as teenagers. But then there came a time in the 70s and 80s where it became necessary to designate, and we went through a kind of a amorphous of names and logos and things like that. So now across the nation, the name Adult and Teen Challenge is a recognizable branding. In one way, we kind of separate ourselves from the secular programs to say that we offer a place, a safe place where young men, and I'll put a parenthesis here, we also have facilities for women, but we do not keep them on the same campus. And at the same time, we offer help for youngsters that are ages 12 up through 17, but we also provide them education and medical needs that are separate from the adults. So we got 3 different categories. And here at this campus, we deal with men that are 18 and older. I think the oldest one that I've got on campus right now is 69 years old. So we'll take them, we'll give them a chance. Early on, there was a concept that we only dealt with prisoners, thugs, people that got out of prison. In fact, when we first moved into the community, some of our neighbors were really upset because they thought we were going to have razor wire and all kind of security stuff, because of the label that gets put on drug addicts. But I'm here to tell you that drugs doesn't discriminate on economics. It doesn't discriminate on race. Doesn't discriminate on gender. Age, we all susceptible to be captivated and driven by something that seems more powerful than we are. But the whole premises of what we do is to help a person to be able to learn how to make good choices based on biblical, scriptural principles. And we've done that successfully now for all these years. We're making some major changes here in the Johanna facility. If you have been keeping up with us, you know that we started out as a 4-month induction center. And what that meant, we would take the students through 4 months of Bible study. Then we would load them up and take them to Pennsylvania, where they would do another 8 months to 10 months for the rest of the year. So that system worked. Then some changes came along, and we began to keep the students here for the whole year. That system was innovative, challenging, and very taxing when it comes to the economics and the stress of staff, and also being able to keep a student focused on one campus for 12 months. So about last June, I was attending a conference in Dallas. I was in Dallas, and I met and had dinner with one of the directors out of North Carolina, and the idea began to formulate in our mind that, hey, instead of all of us trying to do separate things and trying to reinvent the wheel, we decided to form a partnership. And this is what I'm excited about, because in looking at the needs of our students, one of the things that has been missing over the years is preparing them for jobs whenever they leave here. So the facility in North Carolina has that capability. So what we've done, we've made a corporate decision to cut our program back to 4 months. And my teachers and staff do what they do very well, and they're taking the guys through the discipleship part of the program. Then we load them up and take them to North Carolina, where they are given an opportunity to sign up with welding. They can actually get certification in welding, certification in HVAC for air conditioning work, and we've got a deal or a thing worked out with a contractor that has a professional lawn care design, where they get in there and they don't just cut grass, they design really nice landscapes and all this kind of stuff. And then we've also got a wood shop where the students can get experience with skills. So I think we've made a major step forward. And now wrapped up in this, for a number of years now, we've been looking at my age, and the question always came up about retirement. And if you've heard any rumors about me retiring, put those rumors to rest. I don't think they're going to let me retire. In fact, there's a plan in place now, and we're actually actively searching and interviewing to get someone that we can train. And in biblical terms, we call it a Joshua. Find some Joshua that we can bring in, train him, and there would come a time in the future that I'll move out of this seat, let somebody else sit here, and at that particular point, they're going to let me just do what I like to do, and that's public relations and fundraising. Now, I learned a long time ago, Scott, I don't do fundraising. I do friend raising. I was in town one day, and I'm walking down the sidewalk, and it dawned on me, I've never had an enemy give me money. So the opposite of that logic is, I got to have a bunch of friends. And so because this ministry operates without government funding, we operate on private donations. We are a 501c3 religious organization. So your donations are tax deductible. And then we go to churches and we get mission support. We love to, in fact, this weekend, we're going to be in Conway at Crossroads Community Church, and our guys will be sharing their stories with the congregation. I'll speak. We'll tell everybody there about the program, and at the end of the service, they'll take up a love offering for us, and that's the way we function on donations. So this place has potential, and the drug use. Just last week, our local coroner published an article. I believe Gab News carried that article, that there were 5 overdose deaths in Georgetown last week.
Right.
That tells us that there's a bad batch of drugs that has hit the streets. And whenever these kids are playing with drugs, it's Russian roulette. And if you've ever had the experience of having to bury one of those individuals or try to resuscitate them, I know firsthand what it's like to find a person that has expired. It's not a pretty thing. It's real, and drugs will kill.
Have you noticed over the years, I mean, back when you started, fentanyl, I don't think was a thing.
We didn't know the word.
Yeah.
I remember in Myrtle Beach in 1990 to 95, all you heard was alcohol, marijuana, and crack. Then I remember the first time someone came to me as a heroin addict. It was like, we got a heroin addict in the house. Now, that's just common thing. Your opiates, and now the fentanyl that has hit the streets. Several things happened during COVID. Of course, we all know that we were shut down. The whole society just came to a screeching stop. The extra personal money that was being handed out by the government, a large chunk of that money was ended up in drug addicts' hands. That gave them money to go to the drug dealer. The second part of that was the pharmaceutical companies says, wait a minute, we want part of that money. So pharmacies begin to supply doctors with this solution called Suboxone. And I actually had kids tell me, I don't need to get off drugs. My doctor will give me Suboxone. So the drug dealer...
Is that the same thing as Narcan?
No.
Oh, it's different than Narcan.
Narcan is designed to bring a person back whenever they've gone unconscious.
Okay.
And the Narcan is designed to get the blood oxygenated again so that they can revive them. Suboxone is a maintenance drug that's used as a substitute, like opiate, that will keep the person functioning, but they're still dependent on the drug. So we call that drug replacement therapy. And drug replacement therapy is the hot button now, and it has been really propelled by the COVID crisis. And it made it to where a lot of the recovery programs across the country saw their numbers plummet because there was money available and substitute drugs available. And so very few people were really asking for help at that particular point. Thank God the numbers have come back up. Otherwise, our coroner would be double timing out there. Mm-hmm. So we're here to help. We get frustrated with it. We get angry with it. But I know that Jesus Christ can change a life. That's the core. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, if any man be in Christ, he becomes a new creation. The old man dies and a new person is raised up. Now, this is not a magic pill where they have a one-time experience and everything is perfect. It's a progressive pattern of learning a new way of living. And that's what we're good at.
Do you have men that come back, or what's the success rate, I guess?
Well, that's interesting because we are now compiling an up-to-date test. Mm-hmm. Back in the 70s, there was a government test that showed that we were over 70% successful. We are compiling figures now with the new drugs and all of the things that I've mentioned before. We're looking at trying to determine if those numbers are still holding up. Early results are showing that the numbers do hold up, but we have geographical ups and downs. You might have a drug in one part of the country at a different setting, and you have your numbers that fluctuate here and there. But it looks like across the board, we're still somewhere around 70%. We'll know in just a little while.
And how does somebody become part of the program if they feel like they need it? Now, I have seen on police reports from time to time that a judge allows somebody to come here rather than go to jail. Right. But are there other ways that people can enroll here?
There's multiple ways. One of the big things now is the internet, where people can search. They just put in a search for drug help, and there's national hotlines that will refer to us. They'll give a list of names that you can look at so people can call. Pastors. I'm waiting on a call right now from a pastor that someone referred him this morning, and we made a series of phone calls, so I'm waiting to get a call from a pastor that is trying to get some help for someone. So pastors, in the case of judges, Greg Hembry, who was our senator now, state senator, was our solicitor at one time, and he worked out a deal with the solicitor's office to where if a person gets a minor charge, let's say, for instance, they get picked up with marijuana or some other drug, as long as it's not violent and a gun related, they get shaky on that. But we can go to court at their bond hearing and petition for the bond to be written up that says, if you enroll, attend, and successfully complete the Teen Challenge program, then we will bring you back to reconsider if these charges are going to go forward. And most of the time, we're seeing very good results where the students will go back to the judge with a completion. They look different, they're thinking different, they're acting different, and the judge will look at them and say, have you learned your lesson? Go live life. We're seeing that a lot.
So tell me about the staff. How many staff members do you have, and like who cooks, and how does that, how that work?
Well, we have a lady named Rhonda that she comes in 6:30 in the mornings, and she prepares our breakfast and a hot meal at lunch, and she'll prepare the evening meal and leave it for the staff to handle. So she's a 5-day-a-week person. Mm-hmm. I have a teacher named Hillary. He's a Georgetown resident, retiree. He teaches the guys in some of the classes for the 14 class series for 4 months. And then a lady named Esther. She's our grandma on campus. She'll just hug you and love you. And we're just one of a 5-campus network. And one of those campuses is being renovated to open a women's home. So we will have a women's home in Charlotte, closest one to us. That's going to be good news for us. We also have one just across the border from Loris in Elizabethtown that is a 4-month military facility. A lot of veterans coming back with substance abuse problems or PTSD, that particular facility is designed for them. So if you know someone that's struggling in that area, we're reaching out and diversifying what we're doing. So yes, we love it. You ask how many staff? There's Hillary, Rhonda, Esther, and a graduate of the program named Kyler, and myself. And I understand that just a few weeks we're going to get another one from one of the North Carolina facilities. So lots of things are happening. You have to listen to it almost by the day because the changes happen so fast.
Yeah. So just wrapping up here, what's the one message you want to end with, that for people to know about Teen Challenge and how they can get in touch with you?
Well, there's one thing is, on our presentation on my computers, I've got a picture of our sign out front. If you've seen the signs, you go up 701. I superimposed across the front of it where hope has an address. And I want to tell people that there is hope. A lot of people will call up feeling like, hey, Pastor, I don't know if you can help me or not, but this is my story. I can tell you that Jesus is the answer and he can get you out of that hole. So there is hope. And what we're doing as part of this 5-campus network, we now have a centralized phone number where a person can call Kim, and Kim will take a person, your background, your medical needs, whatever your situation is, and she will find, of the 5 facilities, she will identify which place you need to be put and help you get in there. In fact, we've even got a 30-day detox unit to where we can get people in quicker than the other process had been. So the number is 1-844-947-2944.